All right, finna go to get started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 98. Yes, 98. We're two away from 100, so I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure. First things I want to say before I go ahead and get started is make sure you go ahead and leave a like on the video, man. You already know we're going to be talking the game for sure. Hey, appreciate you guys for stopping by. So today's topic is self-hypnosis, right? A few things I want to mention before I actually get it started. So make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok, as well as on YouTube for YouTube as well. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube shorts. It's just same thing, Life of a Champ. You're obviously on it right now. Leave a like on those as well. Also, if you can never catch a full podcast and you still want to watch the content, make sure you go ahead and tap in with the videos that are about 5 to 12 minutes long. I'm posting those about 3 or 4 times a week. So if you can't catch a full podcast, like I said, tap in with those for sure. Other than that, do I have any other things to say? All right. I don't think I got much else to say. So, all right. So we're going to talk about the self hypnosis for today's podcast, right? Also, if I want to know your guys' take on this for sure. So if you are watching this currently, make sure you go ahead and say what your definition of self hypnosis is to yourself. If you don't have one, hopefully with today's podcast, I'll give you a little bit more of a clear image of what that actually looks like. All right, give me 1 second though. So I'm going to give you my definition of what I define self hypnosis to be. Okay, so when I would like to define what self hypnosis looks like, right? This is going to be putting yourself in a highly focused or suggestible state, or absorbed within an experience when giving yourself positive suggestions. So this is going to be a very very positive podcast, in particular, right? Most of them are, but this one in particular is definitely going to be good for everybody for sure. Um, so, with that being said, when it comes to self hypnosis, like the definition had mentioned, you want to go ahead and condition yourself with certain beliefs that are going to be within your best interest, right? And more importantly, why the reason why I wanted to make this podcast, yeah, basically positive self talk, yeah, essentially, that's pretty much what it is. The reason why I wanted to make this podcast is because I recognize so many people, they they have absolutely poor self talk, and the way that they condition themselves through their own speech is definitely not in their best interest for sure. And I see it all the time, whether I'm at the gym or whether I'm just observing people online. I hear the exact ways they talk, and even also some of the ways they joke around about themselves. Um, it's not exactly in the healthiest way possible, and I hate to be critiquing everybody's behavior and things like that, but it's hard not to recognize once you have this very very self-observant paradigm where you recognize how important to have the right conditioning for your own self is. And like for example, right? I seen a girl at the gym. She's talking about, oh, I can't do it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you better figure out a way, right? And it definitely sounds it's more complex than just that for sure. But it's having that mindset of just saying you can't do it, right? That's something that I just don't understand because it's something that I've conditioned myself to get out of that thinking, that way of being for sure. And also, what was another observant? Also, some things that I observed within people's like posts and things like that, right? They'll joke around about being depressed. They'll joke around by saying, "Oh, I want to kill myself" and things like that. They joke around about those certain things, and you watching, I'm sure you've seen it plenty and plenty of times. Just being an observer of social media, where you see certain people talk about those certain things, and you're just kind of like, "What the hell?" Like that's at least my own point of view, right? I'm just like, why would you ever say that to yourself, right? And even if it is a joke, right? It's probably not the best joke to be. It's not the best thing to be joking around about for sure. So, yeah, understand that everything you say and everything you do is going to be self hypnosis on your own self, right? And you're going to be the biggest influence that you are in your entire life. And if you're not saying the most positive things to yourself, then you're giving yourself a programming that is not within your best interest truly, right? And I would say, that takes a lot of analyzing, quite frankly. And I would say it's definitely worth the self analyzing. If you're a person who does these, and next time you catch yourself in a pattern of behavior that would suggest that it is not best for you truly. With this given information now, I want you to go ahead and correct yourself. Truly, be in the moment and correct yourself because correction is probably going to be necessary in that moment. Um, yeah, one thing I want to say, and this is something that I mentioned within my Undefeated Mindset podcast, and if you haven't checked that one out, that is definitely one that I would recommend you go ahead and check out. what I said on there was something that's it's so prevalent to me. The first time I heard that is only thinking, believing, and saying things that are going to be within your best interest. So um, the second you start to say things, believe things, or think things that are truly not serving your best self or not going to positively contribute to your own life, then you must either remove that or you must somehow, some way change it. And yeah, your self beliefs are going to be very very important. Obviously, everybody knows this, but there's not enough people that truly take it serious, right? So yeah, that's why I definitely wanted to mention that for sure. Like I said, I want to know your guys' point of view. So if you guys have a different, self hypnosis point of view, make sure you go to tapping with that for sure. Give me 1 second. All right. All right. All right. So yeah, when I originally heard about this concept, was not a concept that I exactly knew exactly what it was called. These beliefs that I talk about on today's podcast are things that I've always believed for the most part, as far back as I could remember. Right. These are things that I remember. I remember learning about, and like I said, I was just always an observer of other people's behaviors and what they say to themselves. And I never knew it actually had a name, which was very very fascinating to me. The second I actually found that out. But yeah, this is something that it doesn't come easily to everybody. Yeah, for sure. Give me 1 second. Why does it keep coming down now? All right. With that being said, all right, you must create ideal conditions within the mind. Right. A lot of people, like I said, they just live in a less than ideal condition within their mind. Let's just say you're going through a hard thing, right? Let me give you an example of what that looks like, right? You're going through a hard thing in your life. You must still somehow, some way, create an ideal condition in your own mind. Um, you must switch the thinking that you have. Let's just say it's a negative, pessimistic type of thinking. And I know I say it's easy, or rather, me saying this is going to be a lot easier to say it than to actually do it. But if you're not being conscious of it at the very least, you're definitely not going to be in the best position possible. Um, but let's just say like I said, you're going through something that's hard. You see yourself slipping into this negative self-talk. You must catch yourself for sure, and obviously correct yourself, saying, "Hey, that's probably not going to help me out." And being negative in any situation is never going to help you out. It is never and should be never the thing that you resort to, because yeah, like I said, it's honestly it's counterintuitive. It doesn't serve you. Like I already mentioned that a few times, but it truly doesn't serve you. Yeah, there's two mindsets you can have when going into any situation, right? There's going to be a defeating mindset that you could possibly have, or there's going to be one where you go ahead and redeem yourself, right? Even in those less than fortunate circumstances, you must somehow, some way, create a win, create an ideal circumstance. Let's just like I said, you're going through something, and you say to yourself, what example do I want to use? Yeah, you're going through anything in life, and you say to yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me, right? As opposed to why is this happening to me, right? That is going to be one more thing that you can add to your self hypnosis that's going to put you in such a better state because you're reframing the way that you think. Instead of being a victim of your circumstance, you're a person who is going to take a little bit more of control of the environment or the control of the way you're thinking. More importantly, and this is going to be somehow, some way, creating an ideal circumstance. And like I said, this is something that I'm going to recommend for everybody. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, just any problem that you have, you must reconstruct. You must reconstruct your way of thinking. Never look at it as an issue or a problem. Look at it as a thing that needs a solution. Right? It needs a solution, and somehow, some way, you're going to try to figure it out. I think it's just as simple as that. Yeah, and like I mentioned, everything you say and do is going to be self hypnosis. So that's why you must be very, very, very careful when it comes to anything that you decide to either tell yourself or do for yourself, because whether you would like to admit it or not, it is going to affect you, right? There's a lot of people that say, joking around about these certain things, it's not going to affect me. Okay, well, when you joke around about it all the damn time and you say the same stuff that, in my opinion, is absolutely goofy to be saying, then truly, are you really doing anything positive for yourself? That's something that you must you must question yourself on. Um, because it literally becomes who you are, right? And that's why that programming is so important, that you're very, very strategic with it. A lot of people are not strategic with it. They're just a person who just exists, right? And on this podcast, I'm making these podcasts for people who are trying to be a little bit more than average. And if you're a person who is was wanting to be a little bit more than average, then you must have a mindset and you must have a programming that would suggest something that is better than just being an observer of life and being a person who can actually control, literally, actually, like I mentioned, control what you do with your life. Yeah, I think it's just as simple as that for sure. Give me 1 second. One thing I want to mention as well when it comes to your own self talk, and if you're a person who's well read, you might have heard this being said before, but words are spells, and that's why they call it spelling, right? So when you say certain things about yourself, you're literally casting a spell on yourself, right? And like I said, if it's not the most positive spell, then you're literally casting a negative spell within your life. Like I said, whether it's you're joking or not. And one thing I want to mention with that as well is everybody has a subconscious mind, or at least this is what I would like to think. Everybody has a subconscious mind. And with the subconscious mind, you must understand exactly how it works. The subconscious mind never turns off, whether you are awake, whether you're conscious, or whether you're unconscious, which obviously is like obviously sleeping or, yeah, sleeping pretty much. You must understand that your subconscious mind is always intaking all the inputs that you give it, whether this is whatever you're scrolling on social media, or rather whatever you're listening to, or whatever you feed yourself, right? Your subconscious mind is going to, and I say feed yourself, I'm talking about with like just thoughts and things like that. It's going to be intaking everything. So you must be very, very conscious of this and realize, truly realize, and I emphasize this plenty of times on this podcast, but truly realize that it's going to make an impact within the way that you either see yourself or the reality that you truly live. And like I said, most people just don't take it. They don't take it that far. They never think that deep. But that's exactly the way it is, and that is why you see a lot of people who have these self beliefs about themselves. That's why they live the most negative lives that you can possibly imagine, because they're a person who's not. They're a person who doesn't have the right programming to live life. They haven't hypnotized themselves in a favorable manner, right? And yes, you can hypnotize yourself in a favorable manner. Um, that is by just treating yourself good, truly. Treating yourself good and believing that you deserve the things that you believe or deserve the things that you want in this life, right? Convincing yourself of these things are going to be going to be putting you in a much favorable position just to even think. Um, yeah, I would say as simple as that. Yeah, people constantly convince themselves and reaffirm themselves that they are sad, depressed, stressed, unlucky, you name it. Anything negative, any negative emotion, they attach it to their identity. And this is something that you'll never see me do, right? For an extended period of time. You won't see me do this for more than, let's just say, 3 hours, because I recognize, adopting those certain things, convincing yourself of these certain emotions and attaching it to your identity is something that, in my opinion, is absolutely foolish to do. There's going to be certain times and places where you're going to feel a certain way, but recognize that it is only a feeling, and these things are going to be very, very temporary. And like I said, a lot of people they hold these things very, very close to them. Like I said, they attach it to their identity, which is not very good. And if there's anything that you're holding on to that you really attach to your identity, then you must somehow, some way remove it. And eventually, it's going to be a little bit of a process to do. First of all, it's not something that you're going to be able to just do instantly. And with that being said, it is definitely going to be a process where you correct yourself constantly. If that's what's needed, you're going to recognize exactly what comes out of your mouth or what thoughts come into your head, and I need you to consciously think and say, hey, is that the best thing for me and for the way that I want to think and for the person that I want to be? And if it's not, well, like I said, then you have some corrections to do. And I see this occasionally. Occasionally, I see this with myself where I begin to have a certain thought pattern, and I correct myself saying, "Hey, that's not who I want to be. That's not who I am." And also those certain negative emotions. Like I said, people attach it to their identity. The sad, the depressed, the stressed, the unlucky. There's plenty of other ones. There's plenty of other negative things that people attach to their identity. And truly, those are negative things. And like I said, to be attaching anything negative to your identity and to your programming and to your self hypnosis is definitely not going to be a favorable life. And if you want to live the best life you possibly can, that is going to be a conscious action that you need to be doing, which is removing any negative that comes into your mind. Because one thing you must realize to an extent is the only thing you can really control in this life is your mind, right? With that being said, there's a lot of people that I recognize that have absolutely no control in their mind. They think that they have control, but if you hear what they have to say, they truly do not have control. It's a concept of the mind, not the actual reality that they exist in. And I think that's very, very important for people to go ahead and recognize for yourself. Are you a person that is, the controller of what you're doing? Or are you nothing more than just a victim of what you say you are? You must ask yourself these questions time and time again. Anthony, appreciate you stopping by, man. All right. Give me 1 second. Yeah, and basically with the negative self-talk, right? What is the inverse of that? There's obviously going to be positive self-talk. With that being said, saying things like this, like I'm a lucky person, I'm a person who thrives under pressure, I'm a person who, always has the odds in my favor, I'm a person whose life is great and it keeps getting better. Giving, saying these things are going to give you a real life cheat code, right? It's going to give you an advantage to live life that way. Even if it's not even exactly what you recognize, if you just say it time and time again, it is going to be your reality, right? You're going to literally manifest it for yourself in real time because that is something that you're focusing on, right? Um, and anything that you will have in this life is something that will be a focus of, at the very least. So, what are you truly focused on, right? And you're obviously going to be focused on the things that you tell yourself in your subconscious programming or your self hypnosis. You're going to be in control of that. Um, yeah, just as simple as that. Hold up, he said. Negative self talk jokes are always the worst because the punchline is a lack of self confidence, self respect, and there's nothing funny about that. Anthony's exactly right. One thing I will say with Anthony for sure is he's a person who definitely helped me develop this mindset, right? And like I said, this is not a very, very common mindset. And something that I mentioned on my Undefeated Mindset podcast is, yeah, this he was definitely one of the people that helped cultivate like I said, this undefeated mindset, which is basically having absolutely no vulnerabilities, and any perceived vulnerability will be changed and altered very, very soon after it is even thought of. Because obviously, like I said, if you want to live the best life you possibly can, you must believe that you have no limitations. You must believe that everything's within your favor and everything is going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out. Um, yeah, I would say it's literally just as simple as that. So if you're a person, struggling right now who has a very, very limiting mindset on some of the things that you believe in, or a limiting mindset on the ways that you live life, recognize that there is another way, right? There's a lot of people who have those certain types of mindsets that they tell themselves, and they don't believe there is any other way, right? This is why I'm talking about on today's podcast, because those people need to hear that other people believe something different than themselves, and there is another way. You must constantly reaffirm yourself with positive affirmations, and it does sound cheesy. It does sound cheesy, if I'm gonna be honest with you. It does sound cheesy to an extent, but it is something that is an absolute necessity if you want to live the best life you possibly can. Um, yeah, that's for sure. Like I said, if you're in here right now, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Make sure to go ahead and leave a comment, just like to see who's in here. Also, if there's any specific things you want me to mention when it comes to self hypnosis, make sure you go ahead and say it in the comments for sure. If the odds are in your favor, then I already won. If the odds are against me, it's a fair matchup. Either way, I'm gonna come out on top. Exactly. It's having that belief. It's having that belief for sure. And the beliefs that you have about yourself change the reality that you live. They truly change the reality that you live. A lot of people think the reality is just going to be what it is, but you must realize that you have control over this. Of course, there's going to be certain things you truly do not have control over, but those things are very, very far and few between. And if you believe that you have control or some say on certain things, then you will, and you will show yourself that you do actually. Um, and it's just as simple as that, right? You saying negative things is going to put you in it's going to put you in less than fortunate circumstances within reality, right? If you're a person that says, "Hey, I'm unlucky," that is something that you focus on, and you're going to manifest those specific outcomes for your life. You're going to be constantly unlucky. There's no way you're going to be able to be lucky or even be in fortunate positions if you truly believe that you're not deserving of that, or those things don't happen to you, right? Like I said, that just doesn't make any sense for me personally. All right, give me one second. All right. All right, so going back to the subconscious mind, right? This is something that I've learned recently, and I've had a conversation with a few people about this, but I definitely thought it was very, very significant and definitely could be applied to this specific situation. So, this is going to be taking advantage of the subconscious mind and also what they would call theta programming. This is a state of mind that is um, right when you wake up, as well as right when you are about to fall asleep. That state where you are unconscious and barely conscious, right? There's going to be a state of theta, right? This is where your mind is going to be the most open throughout the entire day because I don't know, quite frankly, I don't know why it's like that, right? But it is more open to any type of programming. So with that being said, this is something that I'm going to do for myself here shortly, and this is something that I'm going to recommend everybody to do in some type of way. And at the very least, you don't have to go as far as what I'm going to go with it, but you can at least do this because this is something that's going to be good for your life. So this is going to be creating your own script. What I mean by your own script, I mean s- certain things that you want to say about your life or the life that you will live, not the life that you want to live, the life that you will live. So certain things like that will be like me, for example. I'll give you some of the things that I'll have written down on this. Um, I'll have certain things like I will be one of the greatest speakers of this time. Things like that, right? Things that I will be, right? Like I said, be very, very careful with the way you speak as well. Not want to be, what you will be. And yeah, certain things like that. Or I'm a happy person. I'm a person who, is a lucky person, right? Like I mentioned those earlier. Those will be in my own script personally. So yeah, I would say whatever it is, whatever life that you will live in the future, make sure you go ahead and carefully write those things down. And what I'm gonna do personally, like I said, you don't have to do this. You don't have to take it this far. But I'm going to take advantage of the theta programming or the theta. I don't even know what to call it. Right, minds. It's basically a state of mind. Right. I'm going to take advantage of that. I want to record myself saying, positive things about myself right now, as well as positive things that will happen within my future. And I'm going to say those things and record it. And when I'm about to go to sleep, that is going to be one of the last things that I hear. And like I said, it's going to literally be self hypnosis. That's pretty much what it is. It's going to be you, your past self, saying things about who you will be in the future. And like I said, taking advantage of when your mind is the most open, right? Um, and yeah, like I said, that's something that a lot of people will think that's crazy, champ. You know what? Why would you do that? And let me just tell you something, right? In about 5 years, when you guys figure out exactly what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to this specific thing, because I will be a manifestation of this, then you'll be like, man, I should have did that shit 5 years ago, right? So don't be one of those people. So if this is something that is um you're a little curious about doing, then I would recommend you going ahead and do it. And at the very least, like I said, creating your own script about positive self affirmations. This is something that I will definitely do very, very soon here. And I definitely recommend, like I said, everybody to do this because it's very good at least to revert back to that if you need to, right? Let's just say, for example, you're a person who's going through stuff, right? Or like I said, a situation that upsets you happens, right? If you're able to go back to these certain pieces of writing that you wrote yourself or certain audios that you've said to yourself, you're able to reprogram your mind. It literally, it's so crazy to say it like that, but that's really what it is, right? You're able to reaffirm or retell yourself what you want to be or what you strive to be or what you will be. And from there, your state of mind is going to change. Your attitude is going to change, and it's going to act in accordance to what you had written down or what you had said to yourself, right? These certain things are going to be very, very interesting advantages that you could have over other people that most people are not willing to go ahead and to do and adopt for themselves. Like I said, a lot of people think this is actually crazy, right? But that's fine. Like I said, you guys will understand about 5 years from now about the things that I'm talking about. So just saying things like "I deserve a good life," right? And yeah, that'll also be another one that I will have, right? I deserve a good life, right? And if you feel like you deserve a good life, that should be another one of those um, positive self affirmations that you have written down within your script, for sure. Yeah, that is what I will say. So, like I said, if there's anything that I talked about in today's podcast that really stood out to you, make sure to go ahead and leave in the comments, just so I can see what the people are talking about, man. We got a few people in here. Like I said, make sure you go and leave a like on my podcast, as well as if you're watching on Twitch, make sure you go and let me know as well. Leave a follow as well. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. Another thing that I thought about the other day, and this was very very good for sure. This is one of those things that I had mentioned, right? This self hypnosis. This is going to be one of these things that I thought about. This is basically all things will work in my favor whether I understand it now or not. Um, yeah, understanding that life is going to you can affect the way your life goes. First of all, you have control over it to an extent, right? Believing you do is definitely a more of a favorable state of mind. So believe that you do, but also in the moments where it doesn't feel like you have any control at all, or it feels like you have less control, realize that things will work out in your favor by saying that, right? Things will work out in your favor whether you understand it now or understand it later. There's a lot of things that that happen to you on a daily basis that you're kind of like, what? Why the hell is this happening to me? You must believe that looking back, and let's just say a year from that experience, that you'll be able to take something from that experience and say, well, I'm glad at least I went through that experience because it taught me this specific thing that I can go ahead and apply to my life, right? And that is also looking at life from the lens that Anthony always told me about. Never look at it as a loss. So even things like this, saying I don't lose, right? And truly believing that you don't lose, and that if you do lose, it's really just a lesson at the end of the day, right? And there's something to be learned from that. So that also goes hand in hand with creating ideal circumstances within the mind. Is even if there is a less than favorable position, recognizing truly that this is going to work out in some type of way, right? Whether I understand it now or not, it's going to work out in my favor, and it's going to work out in a way that is going to help me, right? It is not just being a victim of your circumstance. It is truly not just being a victim of your circumstance, but realizing that in due time it's going to make sense, right? You must believe that it is going to make sense. You must believe that any negative experience that you will have in this life can be truly transmuted to a positive experience, right? Or like I said, at the very least, even if that positive experience can be a lesson. So um, reprogramming the mind like that, right? This It's kind of hard for me to teach some of this at sometimes because it's just something that comes so natural. Can't, yeah, exactly. We don't lose. Exactly. I don't lose. My name is Champ. Like I just don't lose, right? Um, having that name definitely helps me out for sure because yeah, it just helps me out. But yeah, having those certain beliefs about your life, right? Um, or like another one that I adopted, right? I don't lose anybody; they lose me, right? Understanding your true value in your own self, right? And recognizing that you can bring value to other people's lives, um, is definitely a reality that does exist. So, with that being said, that is going to be the W mindset, like KJ just mentioned, right? That's going to be your W mindset, right? Exactly. Mindset is key to life, right? That goes hand in hand with the programming of life. So, if your programming is going to be favorable, then you're going to be in a much better position than most people because most people truly do not have the best programming for their own life. They just truly do not. And it's so sad. Like I said, if you're a person, this hopefully this gives you some perspective, right? To be an observer of other people's behaviors. Um, and let's just say a person, and I've done this before. I've done this plenty of times where somebody will say a defeating mindset to themselves because that is just a part of their programming for whatever reason, right? And I will go over there and correct them. I will correct them and say, hey, don't say that. Don't say that. Say this instead. And I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? But I'm truly trying to help that person out. Because like I said, I recognize what they're saying is truly not good for themselves. So I'll say, hey, oh no, don't say you can't do that. Don't say you can't do that. Figure out a way to go ahead and do it. Don't have this limiting mindset. Don't have this defeating mindset. Um, Yeah, just figure out a way to do it. Just literally figure out a way to do it. I know it's so much more simpler to say than to actually apply it to reality, right? But it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier once it becomes your natural state of being, right? And this is something that I would define to be my natural state of being. Um, and like I said, this is something that if let's just say it doesn't come as natural to you, that is perfectly fine because there's going to be plenty of opportunities that life will test you, and it will test to see if you truly believe what you say you believe, right? And what do you say you believe, right? If you say negative things and that is what you believe, all right, it's literally gonna prove you right. Life is going to prove you right 100% of the time, right? Or if you're a person who has positive self beliefs and you come into counter with less than favorable life circumstance, you're going to say to yourself, well, life is testing me right now, but I will prove myself once again. You're starting off on the right foot at the very least, right? Regardless of what happens from there, you're at least starting off on the right foot. Most people are not going to start off on the right foot, so influencing your subconscious mind is in, will be incredibly powerful because it helps you take control of what you can't control. Potential is equals boundless. Exactly, he's exactly right for sure. But yeah, we got a few people in here. Like I said, make sure you go ahead and tap in for sure. If you are watching on Twitch, make sure you go and let me know as well. And if this is your first podcast that you're watching, make sure you go and leave me a follow as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go over the things that I had mentioned earlier. So like I said, if you're a person that just hopped in the podcast, I'll give you a rundown of the things that I had mentioned. Give me 1 second. All right, so today's topic was self hypnosis. Okay, with self hypnosis, how I would personally define it is this, right? Self hypnosis, it means putting yourself in a highly focused or suggestible state, or absorbed in an experience while giving yourself positive suggestions, right? So this is in simple terms, right? This is going to be positive self-talk. That's the way that I would look at it. Or it could be negative self-talk, right? Either or are going to be a version of self hypnosis. Yeah, realizing that you are going to be the biggest influence in your entire life, right? The way that you treat yourself and the way that you will talk to yourself will be the most affecting thing that could potentially be of your life. And like I said, you recognize that within the people around you, right? The people who are the most positive, more than likely, are going to be the people who have the best mindset. Truly, that's what it is, right? And or the best, they're the best at self hypnotizing themselves to be in a favorable circumstance, right? Those are going to be what I would say the happiest, most fulfilled people. They're going to be put in those situations, and life is going to test them, but life is going to test them in a way that is going to be different than how a person would also be tested in life for sure. So, like I said, understanding that even in the moments where you don't feel, well, let's just say this for example, right? You have a situation where it's a 50-50 situation. Even in a 50-50 situation, you must believe that the odds are in your favor, right? The way that I look at it is this, right? If I'm in a 50-50 situation, I'm in a 51-49 situation always. I don't 50-50 situations don't happen to me. It's always 51-49. I always have the advantage. I always have the upper hand somehow, right? That kind of goes hand in hand with that. Even if it's a semi less than favorable circumstance, it's still somewhat in my favor because I believe it is. And having that belief is not going to hurt your life, even if it's not exactly true. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt you to believe that it is true, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Saying I will win or I will lose, either way, you're right. Simple. And even if you do lose and you refuse that you actually lost and you actually took a lesson, like I said, then you can't lose. You can set up your mindset to literally not lose. Why would you not do that? Why would you not do that? You're literally changing your reality. You're literally changing your reality. That's what I'm saying. Like it's literally as simple as that, right? That's why I don't lose. I just don't lose. I don't lose. You can't beat me. You can't beat me. You know why? Because I said that you can't beat me. It's as simple as that. Perception is reality, so we got to perceive nothing but the best. Exactly. That's exactly the way it is. In simple terms, that is pretty much what it is. What you perceive to be of your life is going to be your reality in due time. How do you cross the line? There's no such thing as delusion. There's no that's a good question right there, Heem. That's a good question right there. But truly understanding that there's 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 no such thing as delusion if it is going to be within your best interest. It is within your best interest to only believe, say things, and believe in things that are going to be within your best interest. Now, delusion is something else. Delusion is something else for sure. Yeah, but yeah, if anything, yeah, but be delusional as fuck. Honestly, that's kind of what the fuck it is actually. But yeah, I would say, like I said, switch certain things to be in your favor. So like I said, I don't lose anybody, they lose me, right? Having these slight alterations on the way that you perceive life is going to be within your best interest. Yeah, positively delusional. Exactly. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Because here's the thing: if you accept a loss, then you literally just accepted a loss. And if that's positive to you, perfectly fine. If you're okay with that, that's cool. That's cool. I'm not personally okay with that. So with that being said, then I won't condition myself to believe in that for sure. Yeah, that's the way that I will say for sure. All right, give me 1 second. All right, one thing I want to mention as well. They broke we up. Exactly, exactly. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's funny that you said that. All right, one thing I want to say is this. All right, choose what you want and don't settle for anything less. Within this life, right? You must choose what you want and pursue that with your fullest intent, right? With that being said, you either have two outcomes. You will either have an outcome where you figure out exactly how to do it, or you will have an outcome where you find a perfect excuse for why you didn't do it, right? With that being said, you have another option. You have another option but to get it done and to do what you set out to do. You have another option because we don't believe in excuses over here because that is not within your best interest. Like I had mentioned, right? This goes back to the self hypnosis, right? To your own programming that you have for your own life. You have no other option, right? You have no other option but to win. You have no other option but to live the life that you not want to live, that you will live, right? Changing those certain words and adopting a certain belief of reality is going to be within your best interest. So, like I said, it's worth believing. You can always gain experience, learning new things, and find ways to change future outcomes. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anthony's exactly right. He knows exactly what I'm talking about, man. I had to look up the word lose because it doesn't exist within my vocabulary. It's as simple as that. It literally is that. It literally is that. I'm telling you. Like this, for example, right? You know, I had to ask somebody how it feels to be second place because I just don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that feels, man. I had to ask him, what does second place feel like? I don't know. I just don't know. You must believe in these certain things. Like I said, a lot of people will say a lot of different things. You're delusional. You're this. You're that. Right? Those are people who do not whose opinions truly don't matter to your own life. Right? Your own beliefs that you have on your own life matter most, and I'm sure everyone watching this agrees with that. So now, like I said, what are you telling yourself? What are you believing in? What is your reality? Right? All these things must be answered. And like I said, if you want to answer them in the most favorable way possible, this is by this is the only way you're going to be able to do it is by creating ideal conditions within the mind. It's as simple as that. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, reconstruct your problems to work in your own favor. That's something that I mentioned earlier. Right? There's going to be a lot of problems that life has, but if you can reconstruct the insufficiencies that you have within your own life or the problems that you have within your own life to be in your best interest, there's always going to be a different framing that you can have on certain problems. And like I said, they will literally work in your favor. Like I said, instead of saying why is this happening to me, you say what is this teaching me? What is life trying to teach me right now? Having these certain subtle switches in belief are going to change the entire outcome of your entire life, your entire perception that you will have, the entire mindset that you will adopt, right? And eventually the entire reality that you will live. Just by reconstructing a few things within your vocabulary. It's literally as simple as that. Like I said, everything you say and think about to yourself is going to be self hypnosis. So what are you telling yourself? What are the things that you are believing in? You must ask yourself all these questions. Like I said, you're going to be the main person that's going to be conditioning yourself. So what is your conditioning, right? Is it positive or is it negative? And if it's negative, then it needs to change because we don't have those negative vibes around here. We just don't have them. We must not have those negative vibes. So you must change it somehow. You must figure it out. You must believe you can figure it out as well. Yeah, and one thing I want walking away from this podcast, I want you guys all to do this. I want you to evaluate the way that you talk to yourself. This is very, very important. With that being said, with that being said, analyze and correct any certain negative talk that you begin to have, right? If it seeps in, if it starts to seep in where you see yourself, you know, believing in negative situations that happen for your life. If you see yourself, succumbing to these certain things that are truly not within your best interest, like I said, you're going to need to alter it. You're going to need to somehow, some way alter it, man. For sure. And like I said, I want to talk about the script once again, right? The script is going to be things that you want to say for your life okay. The script is going to be things that you will say that that will eventually affect the way that you will live eventually. So, saying things like I'm a happy person. Basically, positive affirmations that are going to suggest a better life for you are things that I would recommend writing down because there's going to be less than favorable circumstances that happen within life. And with that being said, that is going to be a way that you can get yourself back up to the vibes that you need to vibrate at, for sure. I hypnotized myself by listening to Meg. Oh my God. Second place doesn't exist. Anything less than first is just a participant. Exactly. Exactly right. All right. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I truly don't understand people who say things negative about themselves, man. It's like literally one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Just like, what the hell's going on with you, man? Your programming is, bro, you're literally lagging, bro. You're literally lagging, bro. Like, it's literally simple as that. Yeah, one thing I want to mention as well, which, like I said, I thought it was very, very profound when I first heard this, right? Words are spells. That's why it's called spelling. So, what spells are you casting on yourself, right? Ask yourself that question. Are you casting negative spells on yourself? Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I'm telling you. Are you casting negative spells on yourself? If you are, then you must change that shit because that's obviously not that. It's not ideal circumstance. You must change it. Yeah, and people, like I said, I want to mention this again, right? People constantly convince themselves and reaffirm to themselves that they are sad, they're depressed, they're stressed, they're unlucky, they're fill in the blank, right? Their negative way of being. They attach that to their identity, and then they expect a different reality to be lived, right? How the hell can you expect a certain outcome of your life if you're treating yourself like shit? You're truly treating yourself like shit. How are you going to expect ideal circumstances when you have not created an ideal circumstance for your own mind? You must ask yourself this question. Low processing power people. Exactly. They're just NPCs, man. They're NPCs. I'm telling you. I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time. Their programming is literally flawed. They have a flawed programming. They have a bug in the system. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. All right. Like I said, reaffirm yourself with positive beliefs. Saying things like I'm a lucky person. I'm a person who, with the fate of the universe on the line, I can handle my situation that's going to be within my best interest, right? Saying things like the odds are always in my favor. Saying things like life is great and it's going to continue to get better. Saying and believing in these things are not going to affect your life negatively. They can only affect your life positively. Now, whatever happens after you say those beliefs is just life. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, you can still somehow turn a negative situation into a positive situation. It's as simple as that. Changing the programming that you exist in is going to be able to put yourself in a favorable circumstance. Guys, he learned it. No, I didn't. Relax, relax. Ah, come on now. Come on now. All right. Yeah, like I said, saying those positive affirmations are literally going to be a real life cheat code, right? They're going to automatically give you an advantage that most people do not have. So if you want to live a life that most people don't live, then you must give yourself positive affirmations that are going to be literally a real life cheat code. Literally the only way I can describe it. It's literally a real life cheat code. You're literally breaking the system. You're putting everything in your favor by saying these things, by believing these things, by reaffirming these things within your own mind. Like I said, you're changing reality. You're changing reality the way that it actually exists for you. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go back to this, and then I'm gonna go and wrap it up. Understanding this right here, the subconscious mind is a very, very powerful thing. I would like to think everybody has a subconscious mind. Okay. With that being said, the subconscious mind takes in every single thing, negatively or positively. It does not exactly know what's real life and what's not real life, right? It doesn't know what's real, it's what's fake. It just knows what is, right? So if you're a person who's, joking around about yourself in a negative way, telling yourself, haha, haha, something goofy, something, I don't even want to say anything, just saying something absolutely stupid, absolutely goofy, that is not within your best interest, you must recognize your subconscious mind is still taking it in as real life, right? So you must take advantage of your subconscious mind by giving it and feeding it nothing but positive affirmations. It's as simple as that. Anything else must be discarded. Anything else must be discarded. And with that being said, I wanted to talk about this, and I know I'm not the most knowledgeable person, but I'm onto something. I'm onto something. Okay, I've done some research on this. Okay, I've heard some stuff about it, and I can speak on it to an extent. And hopefully, my ability to describe it is going to be good enough for you guys to go ahead and take it for your own life. But understand that your subconscious mind works in this state called theta, right? It's this this way of being in the mind, right? With that being said, your subconscious mind is going to be most programmable within the early morning as well as before you go to sleep, right? That state before you are unconscious and conscious, right? The state before you getting into the unconscious, right? With that being said, realizing that that is going to be the most vulnerable state of your own mind and taking advantage of that is going to be the best way that you possibly can. Like I'd mentioned, creating a script for yourself. And this is something that I would like to call. I'm not gonna mention that yet. Okay, create a script for your life. Right. Write down a bunch of positive affirmations. Now, this is something that I'm gonna do, and this is something I'm gonna recommend for you guys to do. But most people are not gonna do this, right? I want you to create your own script. Like I said, a bunch of positive affirmations about yourself, about the life that you will live. Right. With that being said, you can now audio record yourself, and before you go to sleep, play that. Right, and then you're literally. It's called hypnopedia, right? It's basically it's basically how do I want to describe this? It's like sleep learning, essentially. It's pretty much what it is, right? So with that being said, if you want to truly self-hypnotize yourself into thinking the most positive life you possibly can live, that would be the way to do it. That is something that I'm going to do, and this is something that I'm going to recommend because who the hell knows how much power that can possibly have, right? In 5 years from now, I'll be able to tell you if it actually has any effect on your life, right? Only the future will tell, for sure. But like I said, I want to reiterate this, right? The subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's fake. So with that being said, make sure you are very, very aware of the things that you're putting into your subconscious mind because it never turns off. It never turns off. All right. Another thing with this, right? Saying things like, I deserve a good life, and then acting based off of that will positively affect your life, right? It'll affect the programming and it will affect the reality that you live life. Simple as that. And also believing in this as well, right? All things work in my favor, whether I understand it now or not, right? Understand that even in the moments where you don't truly understand why life is treating you this certain way, understand and you must understand and recognize that it is for a certain reason, and there's something to be learned from this experience. And in due time, that is going to be eventually a positive experience if you truly believe it to be a positive experience, right? So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example real quick before I go ahead and end it up. A person goes through a breakup. I went through a breakup, right? Right. There's a lot of different paradigms you can have when it comes to that person and also yourself when it comes to after a breakup. For me personally, I'm a person who recognizing that life is nothing more than just a set of a bunch of different experiences, right? And your perception of those experiences create your reality. So, even though, me breaking up with my ex, right, was a less than favorable circumstance because, for whatever reason, it wasn't ideal in the circumstance, right? Um, Believing that that was something that that could be learned from and that could be bettered for my own life eventually in the future. is a paradigm that I adopted, and like I said, a paradigm that most people should adopt because a lot of people can say, "Man, I went through that. It was a terrible thing, and I'm just gonna view it permanently as a negative thing." When in reality, it's not. Right? There's something to be learned from those experiences, even if they are perceived to be negative. You must take and extract as much lessons as you possibly can from those things and apply that to your life, and figure out ways which you can be better for sure, for the next person or for the next experience that you go through that might result within the same type of potentiality, right? If you get into those certain things and you have those certain beliefs, you're going to be in a much more favorable position moving on forward. It's as simple as that. Yes, sir. Hit the like, man. Hit the like, man. I'm about to go ahead and end it off. I appreciate everyone stopping by. We had a good amount of viewers in here. Like I said, if there's any last words that you want to mention when it comes to self-hypnosis or giving yourself the best programming, or also, just any other thoughts that you have. Also, if you're watching this, make sure you want to leave a comment, just so I can get your opinion on some of these things, right? Yeah, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, and like I said, leave some comments, man, before I go and end it off. So yeah, this is something that I've done. This is something that I've applied to my life, and this is something that I would say only positively it can affect your life, right? If you decide not to believe in these certain things, go ahead, go crazy, go stupid, man. Go ahead. If you want to go ahead and do that, man, that's perfectly fine, right? Just know that the people watching this, I'm gonna try to give you guys the best game that I possibly can because I care about you guys. I care about the life that you guys are living. So with that being said, I'm gonna give you what I would give myself, right? The same advice that I would give myself, I'm going to give it to you guys. So this is going to be, like I said, basically treating yourself with actual respect that you deserve. Be nice to yourself. Say good things about yourself and about your life, right? And you're going to be better off. And it's as simple as that. All right. Repetition of positive self-talk will elevate your thoughts, actions, and ultimately your life. Talk to yourself into a great life. Exactly, Grandma. Grandma's always spitting the facts, as usual. Come on now. And it's as simple as that. It is just as simple as that, right? Talk yourself into your great life. And if you're not, you're talking yourself into a negative life. If you want to live a negative life, go crazy, go stupid. But just know the people on my side, man, they're not going to be living that type of life, man. They're just not. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end off here. Appreciate everyone stopping by. Like I said, I appreciate all you guys' support. If you're a new person watching this, make sure you want to leave a like, as well as make sure you go to subscribe. Also, if you're watching this on if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and leave a follow as well. But other than that, fellas, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys off with the podcast motto. So if you know what the podcast motto is, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments before I go ahead and say it, man. All right. Pod motto, fellas. I'll give y'all about like 30 seconds, man. 30 seconds to go ahead and put the pod motto, man. Come on now. You already know what time it is. You already know what time it is. And if you don't, you're about to find out, man. Like I said, I'll give you about 15 seconds, man. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off, man. All right, the pod motto is this, man. Fellas out here, we don't just work, we outwork. So make sure y'all work at these motherfuckers every single day. Simple as that. There's no point of putting in the work. The only thing that you should do is outwork. Simple as that. And if you know me, you know I'm outworking. Simple as that, man. Like Anthony already knows the time it is, man. He already knows the time it is better than anybody, man. Other than that, next podcast is going to be on Thursday. Make sure you tap in with that for sure. That is going to be the 99th episode of the Life of a Champ podcast. So make sure you go and tap in with that for sure. Beginning of next week on Tuesday is going to be episode number 100 of the Life of a Champ podcast, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. If you have any ideas or any things that you want me to mention within that podcast, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments as well. But other than that, like I said, I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and follow. Other than that, I'm going to leave you guys off on a few more things. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok. I post videos every single day, or at least I'm trying to post every single day. As well as make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as I post those. I'm trying 3 times a day, man. Make an appearance on the 100th. Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want, man. Other than that, Like I said, just tap in, man. Just tap in, man. Simple. Also, one thing I want to mention as well, make sure you go ahead and watch my videos that I post. They're usually going to be podcast clips around 5 to 12 minutes long. So if you want to catch the podcast, you can never catch it live, but you still want the game that I'm spitting, make sure you go ahead and tap in with those for sure. But other than that, fellas, I really don't got much else to say, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys off on with this. Good night, fellas. Like I said, make sure y'all working these motherfuckers. As simple as that. Y'all have a good night. Like I said, episode number 99 coming up later this week, man. We're looking forward to it. Y'all have a good night.